This is not a city that most tourists who come to India visit. In fact, it's a city that I think I might be the only foreigner in, but nonetheless, this is a city that is so worth visiting because it gives you the perfect glimpse into what ordinary life here in India is. Even though it's a small city, you've got the hustle and bustle that you can see right behind me, and it makes it one of the more interesting cities to visit here in India. It might not have the Taj Mahal, it might not have the massive forts that you see in India, but it has its own charm, and it might be very well worth to see this city. Welcome to the incredible city of Muradabad. Good morning, guys, and welcome to the Delhi train station. It is a hectic place, it is a busy place, and it is currently 6:30 in the morning because we've got a train to catch. We are going on another adventure here in India. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get on a train and let's not miss it before it's too late.
Number 6.
And just like that, the train has officially left the station and we are on our way to our next stop here in India. It's going to be a few hours on the train, but it's got AC, it's got a nice view, couldn't complain. Now, unlike trains in Europe, here in India, trains come with complimentary meal service. I am actually very excited about that because I am excited to try Indian food here on an Indian train. Everyone is enjoying their breakfast right now, and I think we've got some fried fritters, something like that. Got some bread, but I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try this out. It looks really nice. It sounds like it's gonna be a good breakfast. It's a little soggy after staying inside probably those warm containers for a few hours on the train, but what more can I ask for on an Indian train? It's nice, it's delicious, and I think soon before we know it, we're going to be at our stop, and it's going to be time for us to get off this train. And just like that, we have officially made it to our next stop here in India. This is the city of Muradabad, a city that is located just about 2-3 hours east of Delhi. Now, Muradabad is not exactly the most visited city in India. In fact, there are barely any tourists, any foreigners that would actually come here. However, I've heard there are some interesting things here, and I'm excited to see what the city actually has to offer. So, it's not a very big city, but we're gonna have time to see and understand the culture here in Muradabad. We're gonna take it slow, and we're gonna go ahead, leave the train station, and start exploring the incredible city of Muradabad. This right here, this is rainy season. Rainy season here in Muradabad is absolutely no joke here. Now, whenever I come to a new city that I've never been to, the first thing I always like to explore is their fresh markets. Fresh vegetables, fresh fruits. That is the best way you can understand a local culture, local cuisine, and frankly, an entire city. Right here, we are currently in the center of Muradabad. We are in the Old Town area, and this right here is the actual vegetable market. There's so much being sold. There's chilies. I mean, look at all the vegetables. There's onions, there's chilies, there's cabbage. A lot of things are being sold here. Now, the thing is, today is a bit of a rainy day, which means that it's actually not too busy to actually come through the market. It's actually quite quiet. As you can probably tell, there's not that many people, and it's actually very manageable to walk around. You're not pushing and shoving against people, but I can imagine early in the morning here at the vegetable market, it must be very, very busy with everybody doing their daily sort of groceries shopping here in Muradabad. But it does give you a feel for the city of Muradabad itself. It's not as big as Delhi or Mumbai or the other big cities here in India. It is quieter, it's a little calmer, and much like the vegetable market, it's a symbol that this place, the city Muradabad, is very different from the other cities that we've seen here in India, especially going to like Jaipur and Delhi. So this is a good fuel to get into the city, but we're going to continue exploring the city of Muradabad. Not every day you see a cow walking through your vegetable market. In other parts of the world, that might be what you're buying at the market. But here in India, this cow is going to be safe. Who knew there was a gun shop here in Muradabad? Almost feels like I'm back in the US for a second, except here it's actually really strict. They have to get a license and all that, so I'm not going to into the details of gun licenses here in India, but if you want to buy a gun, there's a place in Muradabad where you can get one. One thing I find really interesting here in Muradabad is that things are very much still done in the old way. Technology hasn't really moved this city too far ahead in time, and you can see that with this right here. He's literally pumping the water out. There is no free tap where you just open the tap and water comes out. Not here in Muradabad. If you want water, you gotta put in the effort. But at the end of the day, it is a sort of charm of the past that we've sort of forgotten with modern day technologies. I do love myself. Just walking on the streets here in the old area of Muradabad, we've come and we've seen something very interesting here. This is how they dye clothes here in India. Literally, they have a big vat of water. They have some chemicals so you can literally see all the different colors that they've chosen for all the different clothes. And with that, they can actually dye the color of the clothes really well. I mean, it literally is white before it goes in, and by the time it turns out, it's a completely different color. Now, I don't know how effective and how long that color will stay, but my guess is this is probably going to last quite a long time. It's probably a permanent fixture on the clothes once you change the color. But it's very interesting. They're literally doing it right on the street side. And you see people are just rushing by me, and then right here, they're just dyeing clothes in a big vat of colored water. Very interesting here in India to see them doing this right on the street side. That looks like a disaster waiting to happen. Knowing my clumsiness level, I better stay away from that. I'm gonna knock the whole thing over. Ash Drug House. Doesn't exactly sound like the most convincing store ever. Sounds like something shady is probably going on in there. Now, Muradabad's claim to fame here in India is that it is the brass city of India. It's the brass city because the people here, one of the main industries that they work in is the production of brass items, whether it's brass ornaments, brass bells, brass things, anything brass, you're probably gonna get right here in Muradabad. Now, we're currently walking through the Mandi Chowk area, which is the sort of brass market of Muradabad. This is where you can buy all the different brass things that you want, and most of the time people around here come to Muradabad in order to buy brass things. We're gonna go ahead and walk down a little bit more, but it's gonna be incredible to actually see the brass market here in Muradabad, their sort of claim to fame in India. We've just come into one of the brass shops here in the brass market, and I mentioned earlier that there are a lot of brass things, like sort of brass bowls, brass cups, things that you can buy with brass. But the one thing that they really produce a lot of is brass statues, specifically of the Hindu gods. You can see there's so many different brass statues of all the different gods here in India. You've got, for example, the elephant god here. You've got all the different types of gods, which they produce statues of made of brass. I thought they have a lot more like they do produce a lot of practically used ones. So for example, bowls and cups. But more than anything, these little statues of gods, this is what people buy. It's also why, you know, this is such a religious country. People come and buy these, they leave it in their house. It's sort of an ornament that they'll leave around the temples within their homes. But it's really important to the Indian people that they have these sort of brass sort of ornaments of the gods, a symbol of the gods, the Hindu gods, to have in their house. Which is why Muradabad is such a popular city for people who want to buy brass things. But I'm just shocked by how many gods are here. I mean, look at this. Every single one of these here is one Hindu god. That is a lot of brass statues just for the gods. Krishna, Radha, Buddha. It's like they have a very strong brass religious theme here. Everything's just got to be some religion-based structure. I mean, even the ones right behind me, look at those. All of these are all some one or another god of the Hindu religion. Now if you're looking to buy one of these brass structures behind me, the way it works is actually pretty interesting. When you go around the shop, you'll notice that there aren't any price tags that tell you how much it is. It's not like a supermarket where you can go in and you can know what the price of each brass sort of statue, or in this case, for example, candles are worth. Instead, what you have to do is they actually weigh the structure itself, whether it's a statue or a candle or a bowl or whatever. They weigh it, then based on the weight, they multiply that by the value of brass in order to give you the actual price. Because it's not about the shape or the carving of it, it's the actual material of the brass that makes a difference. It's the actual value, the quality of the brass that makes a difference in the price. That's really interesting. Usually you just go to a store, I mean, whether it's like gold or silver, you go in the store, there'll be a price tag. But with brass, it's a little different here in Muradabad. You have to go and weigh it out before you find the actual price of what you want to buy. They got planes, they got helicopters, they even got a gramophone out of brass. The people here really can be very creative with what they make with brass. And it's very interesting to see all the different ways that they can use brass and all the different ornaments that you can buy here. They can literally make everything with brass. They've even got a train that actually moves. The wheels on the train go round and round here in the Brass City. If you're looking for a unique souvenir, Muradabad's brass things might be a really cool thing to have. I mean, this thing, the wheels actually run. They're very interesting actually. It's a nice little cute place to visit actually, and to get some of these souvenirs if you're gonna leave India after. Yeah.
Open it. Open it.
It's a keychain. Wow. It's really, really nice. I mean, this is the brass that you're getting here in Muradabad. This is what they're famous for. This is why they're the Brass City of India. Forget business cards, this keychain actually has the name of the store here. It's funny how they don't need to give out business cards here. They just print their thing on brass, and that's how you remember the store. It's an interesting way to do business cards here in Muradabad. the keychain. This store right here, 71 years old. If you want brass, this is the place to come to. Thank you. Now, aside from just making things out of brass, the other thing that Muradabad is really good at is etching things into brass. They use really fine knives and really fine tools in order to make the smallest etchings possible into brass ornaments, brass bowls. And you can see right behind me, this gentleman, he is right now etching something into this big brass bell. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of experience, and a really, really specialized set of tools in order to make the smallest little indentations into a piece of brass. It takes a lot of years to master, and this guy, he knows exactly what he's doing. And 15 minutes on a rickshaw later, we have left the actual brass market of Muradabad, and we've come to a place known as Kali Ka Mandir, which refers to the Kali temple. It is a massive old temple complex here in Muradabad, deep within the old town of the city, but I'm not really sure what we're going to see, but we're going to go and check it out. It is another temple complex, so that's always really interesting to see here. Shoes off whenever you enter a temple here in India. Now this right here is Kali Ka Mandir, or the Kali temple. As you can tell, it is a massive Hindu temple, and there are all these parts to the actual temple complex that you can actually go around and visit when you're here at this temple. It is a very peaceful place, a very quiet place, but when there's a festival and when it gets busy, this place can get really, really crowded. Fortunately for us today, it's a quiet day, it's in the middle of the week, there aren't any festivals, so it is very calm. But in my opinion, what makes this temple the best temple is that view right behind me. That is the river. It's the Ram Ganga that runs right behind Muradabad. It gives you an almost pastoral, rural feel to India. You see water buffalo strolling across the river. It is such a nice, incredible feel for India, and it gives you an almost very raw and authentic feel of the rural side of the city and the rural side of this country. But with that, here at Kali Ka Mandir, this is going to be our last stop here in all of Muradabad, because to be honest, beyond this, there's not that much to Muradabad. It's very much a city. It's a city where people stay. There aren't that many sort of tourist attractions, and aside from the sort of brass market, maybe some of the temples like this one right here, there's not that much to see in Muradabad. But with that said, Muradabad is a great glimpse into the local life here in India. You get a very good feel for what life is like here in India and life is like here in Muradabad. Yes, there are things to do like the brass market. You can buy some ornaments or you can get a free one like I did, but it's still a nice city to visit even though it might not be the most exciting here in India. But with that, with this incredible view of the river right behind me here at one of the main temples in Muradabad, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video right here. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tour, this guide of Muradabad. Like I said, it's not the biggest city in India, it's not the most exciting city in India, but if you get the chance, it's worth a visit just to check out the local way of life here in this country. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye guys.